All right, so call the public hearing and plan commission meeting on April 22nd, 2026 at 6:32. Roll call, please.
President Gerke,
Here.
Trustee Baum. Trustee Quinn is present on Zoom. Commissioner Ilhoffen.
Here.
Commissioner Eberly.
Here.
Commissioner Howard. Commissioner McCormick.
Here.
Commissioner Lesser.
Here.
Planner Sumwalt.
Here.
Attorney Larson.
Here.
Engineer Lysis is present and in the audience. Administrator Green.
Here.
And Clerk Capazzo to record the minutes.
All right. We have two public hearings tonight. The first is a joint meeting with the village board and plan commission. And this is to consider the proposed amendments to various sections of chapter 18.03 of the Village of Lisbon zoning code related to site regulations. So the village planner will give a presentation on this issue. Then the commissioners will address anything that we have. And then next, I guess there's not, we're open up for anyone who wants to speak. This seems pretty straightforward. Obviously, Warren, do you want to just kind of give a quick overview?
Yeah, I'll give a summary. If you recall from our last meeting during the Zandy rezoning and CSM, I brought up that the village had previously adopted a code section allowing the planning commission to consider the creation of a parcel that has a detached accessory structure on it already, and for that to be able to remain while someone proposes to build a home on that property. The ordinance went through the appropriate process, had a public hearing, got adopted. Unfortunately, it wasn't incorporated in the codification efforts that we conducted after its adoption. And so it's not in the current language of our current ordinance. And so we want to correct that as a housekeeping matter. And the language that's being proposed is the same with the exception of using village instead of town. And
Updating the chapter
and
number.
updating the chapter reference. Yeah, this is now in chapter 18 of our current code as codified. So this is necessary. It's something that we conditioned the Zandy CSM on, that this would have to happen first in order to create the opportunity for his project to move forward.
All right. Is there anyone on the plan commission or Paula, do you have any questions for staff or Oren?
Paula shaking her head on Zoom.
All right. All right, is there anyone from the public here that wishes to speak on this specific issue? And there's no one on Zoom?
If anyone on Zoom would like to speak during this public hearing, please use the raise hand function. No hands raised on Zoom.
I didn't say the magic words about opening the public hearing, but I opened the public hearing 2 minutes ago. So with that being said, if there's no discussion, I'm going to close the public hearing, and hearing no comments, we will close the public hearing at 6:36. We'll now move on to the second public hearing, which is just in front of the plan commission. Lisa, do you want to read that into the
You bet.
minutes?
Hearing number 2, the Plan Commission will consider a request by applicant James Heinrichs for Hometown Storage Solutions LLC on behalf of property owner Jim Wesp of the Wesp Family Trust for a conditional use permit to allow a self-storage facility on the northeasternmost 3 acres of a vacant 15.65 acre parcel in the B3 General Business District located along County Road Q and identified as tax key number LSBT 0161 999 010.
All right, so, and we have on tonight's agenda, the conditional use permits and the site plan of operations, but the public hearing is just related to the conditional use. We'll try to keep that as focused as we can. You want to go ahead with your presentation on that?
Yes, so the conditional use permit request by Mr. Heinrichs, Hometown Storage Solutions LLC is for a self-service storage facility, which is part of phase one of the Lake 5 storage development. So this development has both some contractor storage and the self-service storage component. And it's the self-service storage that again requires the conditional use permit. The property is zoned B3 general business district, in which self-service storage is allowed as a conditional use. If you recall back to 2025, the village board via ordinance 2025-11 conditionally rezoned a portion of the subject property from R1 suburban single family residence district and B2 local business district to B3 general business district. And if you saw the GIS location map in the packet materials that folks prepared, I did my best to outline the area of the parcel that included that rezoning, which aligned with lot 2 of the CSM. Now, in my staff review, I'll fast forward to the recommendation. The certified survey map that was conditionally approved by the village board following the rezoning, that was back on January 14th, 2026, has not yet been recorded. And so the issue here is that there's no tax parcel number to assign to a conditional use permit should an approval be granted. And so that's typically what we do. We typically have a condition. One of our first conditions of approval is that it be subject to the land encompassing a particular tax parcel number. So we've made some great progress over the last week with the petitioner in getting their conditions of the CSM approval addressed. And we're close to having the document ready to be recorded, but it still hasn't been recorded as of tonight. One of the things that was hanging out there from the previous approval, we wanted a field delineation of the wetlands on the site. The petitioner has, originally they had, at the time of the CSM approval, a preliminary review by Ecological Services out of Madison area, and they went back out during the growing season just recently and confirmed their delineations, and we got a full wetland delineation report, so that condition has been addressed. We asked that the developer provide some language specifying what can and can't be done in those natural resource areas, the wetlands and isolated natural resource areas on the parcel. They've addressed that, added some language to the CSM for that. And then also they're in the background working on a development agreement for the public improvements for generations, I believe they're calling it, the stubbed road that'll be on the west side of the CSM, and that will continue to proceed in the background. And then the last item was adding some soils information to the CSM regarding the soil borings that were done out on the site. So again, that's all being worked on and almost ready to have a final document that goes to get recorded, but hasn't been done yet. So both recommendation is that the item be tabled until such time as that gets recorded and we have a tax parcel number. I'm recommending that this be tabled to essentially the next meeting date. I think it's doable within that time frame. However, should the Plan Commission wish to move forward, I've provided recommendations for the Plan Commission to do so. So it's kind of a choose your own adventure, both staff review this evening. The Petitioner has submitted all the required materials for the conditional use. They've provided responses to the specific conditional use considerations for self-storage mini warehouse per section 18.04H22. And they've submitted responses to the general conditional use considerations per section 18.04D1 of the code. And as mentioned by the chair, we do have the site plan of operation, which has a lot of details to go along with the development. So in addition to the conditional use permit application and the responses to the standards, we've got a site plan of operation application with a project narrative, grading plan, phasing plan, civil plans, including lighting and landscaping. There's a landscape point summary, approved permit for site entrance off of County Trunk Highway Q, building plans, and again, that preliminary wetland review and the soil evaluation. So as far as the development and the site plan of operation, we can kind of get into some of the specific line items that I wanted to talk about when we get to that particular item. And I've got a similar recommendation for that item as well, what I've given you for the CU. So if there's questions from the Plan Commission, I'd be happy to help try to answer those. The petitioner is also present in the audience. If there are specific questions for him. Real quick, should you choose to go forward with approving this tonight, my first condition is that the approval will be subject to the petitioner recording the certified survey map conditionally approved by the village board on January 14th, 2026. And Waukesha County assigning a tax parcel number to lot 2, which is the portion of that CSM that the developer is looking to, has a contract to purchase and is looking to develop as phase 1. And then subject to the petitioner submitting to and receiving from the village engineer and village attorney approval of the developer's agreement for all public improvements prior to commencing construction of any public improvements or site development. Like I said, that is going on in the background. There's at least a good draft of that, and the rest are our normal boilerplate conditions of approval, one of which is the petitioner obtaining all necessary approvals, and one of those is Waukesha County Environmental Health Department for well and septic system. So that's all I have to say.
Right, James, anything? What would you actually want me to open the hearing? I mean, is it that I script the reopen it for the public?
That's, you can have the petitioner speak.
Okay, James, you're gonna have to turn on the microphone. There's just a switch on top. Yep, good.
Perfect.
If you want me to open it sooner, I mean, but that's, this is just the script.
Was reminding.
Okay. So like, do you have anything you want to add, James, at this point?
I guess the only thing is I feel like we're really close on the CSM. We addressed a lot of issues within the last 24, 48 hours. I believe signatures are in place. I don't know personally how long it takes to formally record something after the signatures, but I believe signatures are close to being in place on the document.
Well, you did deliver the signature copy of the CSM to our office today. I'll be honest, I have not even looked at it,
Okay,
but I have it in hand.
so we're close. I just don't know how long it takes to record something.
I think it's all good, so. If you're done, then we're opening up to the commission to ask questions of staff or the petitioner.
If we delay this tonight, are we gonna have another public hearing?
Yes,
Okay, so why waste,
because it was publicly noticed.
okay.
We had already published the public hearing notice.
Because there's items. Why are we gonna do this and we have to do it all over again?
So. I think we could start the hearing tonight. It's what you choose to do. We could start the hearing tonight. And my recommendation then would be, if you are gonna table everything, then we would continue this hearing. In case when we get the CSM, it causes some member of the public to want to speak to this. They didn't realize it until they saw the CSM. So as you can see, it's not a lot of people here. I don't think there would be a lot of people here at a continued public hearing, but that would be the best practice if you're gonna table it, is to continue the hearing to a later date.
If we continue the hearing, is there a notice requirement, or this is part of the same?
If
public
it's-
Hearing, it's announced tonight, so that it would not need formal publication?
If it's adjourned to a date certain, we do not send out an additional mailing.
Date and time and location should be specified in future.
Okay, all right, that answered that question largely.
Well. Then why are we? I don't know why we would do this twice, is what I'm saying. I know that we can't act on tabling this until after the public hearing, but. I've got a number of issues that I'd like to discuss, but I don't see any reason to do them tonight when we can do them in May. So
So I think staff's recommendation is that we table, and if that's the direction that we're headed, again, this would be, as we just discussed, we start the public hearing and then we adjourn it until the next month. So it was published and that we satisfy that requirement, we don't have to do that again, and that's why we're not gonna not start the public hearing.
I'd be in favor of adjourning the next month, and so we can have the CSM recorded and be talking apples to apples and ask our questions based on that.
Right, so not hearing anything else from the commission, we can keep on going, but I will open the public hearing for public open comments and witness testimony. Is there anyone here tonight in person or on Zoom that wishes to speak on this specific issue?
If anyone on Zoom would like to speak during this public hearing, please use the raise hand function. No hands raised on Zoom. Just for the Plan Commission's reference, if you do choose to adjourn this to the next meeting, the date would be Wednesday, May 27th.
we can't make the motion to the meeting, correct?
No, you would adjourn the public hearing to that date.
Make a motion during the public hearing to May 27th at 6 p.m.
6:30.
6:30.
There was a reference to 6 o'clock someplace else, but it's, yeah, 6:30.
At the Richard Young.
I'll second that.
Joe, that's fine, Richard, here, yeah, okay, and you're good with that? Is that a discussion item?
Nope.
No, okay. So motion's made to table until May 27th. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries 7-0. All right, so we are on to item 4, which is citizen comments. Citizens are welcome to present any comments that they have and limit their presentation to 3 minutes. Is there anyone here tonight that wishes to speak on anything on the agenda tonight or otherwise? No?
Anyone on Zoom wishing to speak, please use the raise hand function.
Again, if anyone wishes to speak on anything tonight that's not their agenda item, this is the time to speak. If it's not your agenda item, that you will not be allowed to speak during that time. Anyone's? Okay.
No hands raised
All
on
right, we'll
Zoom.
move on to item 5, which is new business. Discussion or necessary action regarding the following. Item A is the proposed amendments to various sections of chapter 18.03 of the Village of Lisbon zoning code related to site regulations and recommendation to village board of the same. Lauren, I don't think you really have anything else you want to add, do you?
I don't.
Dan or Lisa, we covered it well enough. Anything else you wanted to add?
No.
Anyone on the commission have anything to discuss, or are we ready for a motion right away?
I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance 2026-03.
It's a recommendation of the board.
Recommendation of the board to adopt.
All right, is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Any additional discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye, opposed say nay, motion carries 7-0. Item B is, discussion and necessary action, regarding the, Mike Murphy National Trench Safety, for a new tenant site plan of operation for the, Polyak Trucking parcel located at, W 223 and 6216 Richard Road. Lisbon tax key number 0241.999.002. Is anyone here on this item? Are we surprised by that?
I am,
It's too bad. I've got some questions.
Sent the agenda link to us.
I wonder if there's a time zone difference.
Yeah, we've been working with their staff out of Houston,
Or email.
Texas. Since this
Okay.
is gonna be a new franchise to our state. And at least that's where I think Mike Murphy, our petitioner, is located out of.
Well, we're still gonna be here in an hour, so let's just skip this one and come circle back to it at the end of the meeting.
You gonna be here? Did you say?
I think we will all still be here in an hour, I think, given what we have on the agenda. Or if if they show up at 6:30 Texas time,
I'll try.
we'll be here. What's that?
6:30 Texas is.
Central time.
The accent show? Okay,
I don't know. Dan's gonna try and get a hold of him. So if we can address this one later on in the agenda,
all right,
So it just procedurally will, I think we could say by unanimous consent, we'll move 5B to be at the end of section 5.
beautiful.
all right, no one disagrees with that? No, on the same page, all right. Item C then is discussion and necessary action regarding the Mary Fallon 2-lot CSM to divide the parcel located at N56 W26106 Richmond Road, Lisbon tax key number LSBT 0260.994 and recommendation to village board of the same. You want to start, Lauren?
Yes, so this item was before the plan commission previously for a proposed rezoning, which subsequently got approved. At that time, we mentioned that the certified survey map itself would need to include the remnant parcel, which is Miss Fallon's parcel. Again, she's looking to break off 5 acres for her son, for him to be able to build a home. And that would be at the intersection of Richmond Road and Mary Hill. The petitioner has done exactly what we requested. She went back, had her parcel surveyed in to the document. So now you have a 2-lot CSM instead of a 1-lot CSM, which includes lot 1 as the proposed new 5-acre parcel for her son, and lot 2 as the remnant 28.97 acre parcel. And surveyor did a good job picking up all of the hedgerow wooded areas and the stream and wetlands on the parcel. That's all included in there. So the recommendation is for approval, that the plan commission agrees with everything that's in full staff review.
All right. Do You're married?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, all right, you can come on up if you would. I look fine. Do you have anything to add, I mean, to that? I mean, I think we've seen this is pretty, we understand what's going on here, relatively straightforward. If you don't have anything to add, and then the plan commission have any questions of staff or of Mary?
I assume soil borings were done on the new lot.
Correct, that was actually submitted in the packet
Okay,
in January.
That's fine. I don't have any other questions.
Anyone else in the plan commission? All right, so if we're nothing else to discuss, we're looking for a recommendation to the village board to approve the two-lot CSM.
I'll make a motion to recommend to the village board approval of the 2 CSM for the Mary Valley.
Second.
All right. Is there any additional discussion? All right, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. All right, motion carries 7-0. Pretty easy. All right, thanks for coming.
Good luck.
Her brother will be here next. Thank you.
All right, let's go now on item D, which is discussion necessary action regarding the James Heinrichs hometown storage conditional use permit to allow self-storage facility on Lisbon tax key number 0161.999.010 B3 general business zoning district. But where do things lie here since we've kind of tabled the public hearing? Does it make sense to go too much into this at this point or not so much?
You table it.
Yeah, again, Phil's recommendation was to table it. So I would say you would want to follow the same process as far as tabling it to a date, time, location certain, similar to what was done for the public hearing. And
Like, I guess
if you'd like me to answer any questions, I can.
the only thing I would say would be is if there's any concerns that you have that we could pass on to the applicant that you could potentially address in the time being. This would maybe be the time to do that, right?
That would also be, efficient to, combine the D and E under the same table mechanism.
Can we do that?
You could do that.
Yeah, that should be fine.
So if there's nothing no feedback that we wanna provide or need to provide, James, do you have any questions? I mean, you understand where we're going, and I think. Okay. All right, so then is there a motion to table items D and E here?
I'll make the motion. Table items D and E to May 27th, 6:30, or May 27th, plan commission meeting.
Beautiful.
All right, is there a second to that motion? All right, that was Sean in the second. All those in favor say aye. Opposed say nay. Motion carries 7-0. Item F, so we'll see you again next month, then. Next, item F is discussion only on, regarding a conceptual review of proposed subdivision on Lisbon tax key number 0271.999. Come on up, Tracy will. Oren, you wanna give us a overview here before we hear from the property owner?
Yes, so this is we're calling the Weber concept plan. The property is owned by Magnum Excavating LLC, and Mr. Tracy Weber is here to represent that entity this evening. The parcel, which I've got up on the screen, just highlighting now, it's about 40 acres. It is currently zoned A10. There's some C1, a little area of wetland that comes into the site. And
Excuse me, Orin.
Yeah.
Is the line, where is the east property line of that? Is it right where your arrow is?
Yep.
So it's just between there and the west property line, correct?
There
It does not include anything to the east of that where you just had the arrow?
no, but
Because it's hard to read on this, that's why I asked.
yep, but I will mention that staff asked the petitioner and his consultants to include a bit of a area plan, if you will, for that adjacent parcel to the east.
Okay,
Reason being, we didn't want to just see streets dead end and not know, is there a possibility for that on the other side? And so there's no guarantees that anything that's shown over there will ever come to fruition, but what's being conveyed is that there's a possibility for road connections and for the, you know, for a future development to carry through potentially to the east.
but it does run from Lindale Road all the way up to the subdivision to the north. I just want to make sure you outlined.
Correct. So, in the staff review, under the kind of general layout and land use, so the overall proposed development pattern, again, this is for 25 lots as presented. And the density is, roughly 1.5 acres per dwelling unit. Which is on the, you know, right on the cusp of the range for the suburban density 1, which is the current land use for this parcel. The layout shows a connection to the north, and that would be to Carleen Drive, which is Arrowhead Meadows subdivision to the northwest. And then there is no southern outlet, so as proposed, it would not go all the way through to Lindale Road. If you look at the concept plan, one of the things that I like is that the topo lines were included, so when you see the cluster of those at the base of this, that's likely why the petitioner is not, but I'll let him speak to that, but from our past discussions with the petitioner, it would be difficult to punch that through to Lindale Road, given the drop off at the end of that parcel. So
What I was wondering.
one of
Well,
the,
there's even a bigger drop that I found, on the corner of the land on Lindale. Looks like somebody mined it out big time, and it's like,
Yes. I used to live over near there. That's why I was wondering. I just wanted to know the extent of what you're talking about.
so under, you know, the general layout and land use under number 4, I state that the plan commission should determine whether a connection from the proposed subdivision to Lindale in this location is appropriate, or if the preferred development pattern is what is proposed by the petitioner. So one of the other things that comes up, there's a couple other connection points to the east that are proposed. So Carleen Drive is proposed to go through to the east, so it would stub, you know, at the hedgerow at the eastern lot line. That's on the north end of the development, and then Weber Drive would similarly stub at the lot line. And there's a potential for that to go through, but for now, that would be a dead end stub as well. And there's quite a ways between the Carleen Drive on the north and the end of the cul-de-sac at Ridgetop Drive. So in the future, when there's roads going through, you might not have a scenario where there would need to be a waiver, but as presented, I think it should have one for the length of that. With there only being one outlet to the north. So
Wasn't the whole thing, I mean, you could look at it that way, the whole thing is a dead end, I mean.
yeah, I measured, you know, the roughly 1,600 feet, I think it was, from the end of the cul-de-sac up to Carleen. You could,
My question is, why would you do it to there and not to Weber Drive? I mean, if you're gonna do it not from the end of the cul-de-sac to Weber Drive, then why wouldn't you just keep on going all the way to?
no, I
So
did
the-
from the end of the cul-de-sac up to the northern Carleen Drive. I'm calling that the, you know. But you could go
there's
the
no
rest of the
natural
way.
stopping point, right? Yeah, right.
So, either way, when someone asks for a waiver, part of the process is stating the rationale, and in this case, the rationale would be the topography. You know,
And from Weber Drive to the end of the cul-de-sac, we're less than the 600 feet. I mean, so that's.
No, we'd have to go and measure it all the way from Carleen Drive.
yeah,
But I mean, if we're planning for the future, if Weber Drive does go through,
Yeah.
then it's, right, and their current dead end here and on the north side of this property, that's been dead end there for, like we were saying, 25 years.
I developed that. I
Right,
developed
Right.
all that.
Right.
That was my land. At
That's what we
that
just
time,
talked
and I
about.
left that there for the next piece, just like I got now.
and that's how, you know, development occurs in the village, and we're just thankful that terminus for Carleen is not at a wetland. Sometimes we
Right.
end up with all this.
That's how that other side is over here. Goes right into the.
Right. So, one of the other potential future northern connections that we didn't discuss would be on the adjacent parcel to the east, which is why I didn't discuss it, but Janet Drive, is on the north end of the parcel to the east. And there is a potential future connection for someone to do there as well, so.
Does Janet Drive exist? Is it a
Yes.
platted street?
Yes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yep.
I agree, yeah, I didn't, you can't quite see that from the aerial here. Not sure, I guess you kind of can, but it's, yeah, there.
It's kind of hard to see because of the
Right.
tree line, but
It's very easy to connect to that.
Yep. So, you know,
So one of the big questions, I mean, is, yes, we want an access point off of Lindale Road, but where is it better to be on this property or the property further to the east?
Right.
And that was one of my big questions and probably everyone's question. And you feel as though it's better if, on the property to the east than on this property?
no, I'm not making a judgment call that way, one way or another. I'm just saying I understand why the petitioner didn't propose to put it through. And so there's not really a good answer. It's likely very steep on that adjacent parcel to the east as well. And the good news is that there's an opportunity for access to KF, direct access to KF for the property to the east. So one way or another, there's going to be an outlet
Yes.
further east, and again, another one to the north for that parcel to the east.
But if it was gonna go on Lindale, it should go on that other parcel. It's lower and flat and you can see up that hill, no problem. It's a much better spot.
There's no doubt about that.
What?
There's no doubt about that. I mean,
Yeah.
try and punch Ridge Top Drive
No,
down,
no.
that wouldn't even make a good ski hill, it's too steep.
So my intent was just to have that conversation and make sure that we're having it at the early stages, you know, during the concept layout.
Well, I appreciate that, because this shows, I mean, answers those questions.
Yep, and again, we can't hold the developer to anything that's being shown on the property to the east, outside of the idea that from an area development standpoint, it's possible for these roads that are being shown as stubbed at the east property line to go somewhere in the future.
Yeah, because I mean, we don't know if it's gonna be developed in 2 years or 25 years or 100 years, I mean.
Correct.
But we have it shown on here where we run into situations, the one over by Wooded Hills where they're like, that road was never meant to go through because it didn't show on anything. But
Right,
everybody said, yes, it was meant to go through, so at least this shows there was some thought put into these roads going through.
Do you own both of these?
What?
Do you own both parcels?
No,
You own a parcel to the east.
Yeah.
he owns the 40-acre parcel that's highlighted on the
I
map.
own a 40-acre parcel. I live next door on 20 acres. The other 20 acres I developed in the Carleen Drive, and that's 20 some years ago. So I know the land.
I have a question, Warren, if you're done,
I'm done.
in my advanced age, it's hard to read these numbers, but the area here in the center where the wetland is, where it's shown blue on what you gave us, is that a wetland? I mean,
Well, it's
something-
called a wetland, but
Okay, what I'm getting at is, is it your intention to include that whole rectangle in your development?
yes, yes.
Okay, what I'm getting at is I don't wanna work around that wetland and have that be. I wanna make sure that's included in what you're proposing.
Oh,
The
yeah,
whole
the
rectangle.
whole parcel is, yes.
Okay, I don't wanna leave a remnant out there that,
Oh,
The wetlands would be an outline, is typically what we'd see. That's what I think we're showing here, right?
mhm.
okay,
Yeah, it says outlot one on it. It's hard to read. Yeah.
So the lot just to the south of the outlots, the southeast there, that's the one lot that's a little bit less than an acre. We're 209 square feet shy. Orin, in your notes here, you said that there is a minimum lot size requirements in the zoning of 43,560. I assume like that can be tweaked to meet that, right?
This is
Outlet? Yeah.
No, not for the
This
outlots,
is
for
just a preliminary
Right.
thing. We can adjust stuff so it makes it right.
yeah, I was gonna say, that shouldn't be a problem.
No, it won't.
right. Describe a little bit more of the wetlands or whatever. I mean,
The subdivision's gonna end up owning the wetland is what I was getting at, and that's all that, we just wanna make sure somebody's attached to that. So you can adjust this to get all 1 acre lots, that's not gonna be an issue.
Dirk, go ahead.
So I have a concern that there's only one inlet to this proposed subdivision. As it is proposed today, I don't understand there's future considerations for the property to the east, but he doesn't own that. And there's no plan that's being presented today to develop it. So there's only one entrance. So all the construction traffic is gonna go through this existing subdivision. And from a fire and safety perspective, you only have one entrance into this. And it's fairly significantly long with a lot of homes. My concern is that I think they should propose an outlet onto a main street to the south. I understand it's not ideal. But if we're talking about developing this area of land. With what I just said, one access through a subdivision, all construction equipment are going in and out of there, dump trucks and everything else. I think you need to have an entrance onto a main street for this size of a subdivision.
So your point about this being a safety concern with the large dead end and the dead end street, the offsetting factor is it more of a safety concern to have an access point off of Lindale Road, right? That's the counter
I
argument
lived
to
in a
that.
subdivision where it was kind of against two other subdivisions that were developed, so it was in the middle.
Right.
And then you got an issue with all the construction traffic going through existing subdivisions. I know those people aren't gonna be happy about it. So having an access onto a main street so they can bring in construction equipment, I think would be ideal, knowing that he doesn't own the property to the east. There's no guarantee that these streets are gonna go to the east. It's just proposed on here. But if that owner of that property doesn't wanna develop it, it's a standalone subdivision by itself with a huge long entrance.
Right.
Only one entrance into the subdivision. So I wouldn't recommend it.
Can you show us where this would be coming out onto Carleen, how far it has to go through the subdivision to get to a main road? Based on your map up there?
Where I'm circling, right where this R2 parcel
See it.
is the intersection with Carleen.
Can you put this on there?
I think that she's looking for something a little more
I'm
zoomed
looking,
out.
I've got this, I'm looking for where does,
So yeah,
come out here, where are you
so
going?
you're coming up here, you're going around and you're either coming off the cap or you're going around up to Lisbon.
So there's quite a bit of distance
So
through residential area that the traffic would be going, construction traffic would be going.
Yeah, it would have to follow Jessica Drive out to Lisbon Road, or it would have to go Carleen Drive to Arrowhead Drive out to KF.
I mean, once
So
it's platted,
let's get the one. Alright,
Wouldn't that be your ingress and egress that you have? You know, either via Arrowhead or via Jessica, I believe it. So
you have two options, Jessica and Arrowhead.
Once you get further to the north, once you get through the other property he developed, and once you get in there, it's Arrowhead Highlands, is it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Once the subdivision is platted, there's 25 lots here, right, proposed?
Yes.
The construction traffic from 25 lots is gonna come between when it's platted and when it's fully developed. You're not gonna stop that construction traffic from going through those subdivisions. It's gonna happen. They have a right to go down the road.
No, they can have an entrance on Linsdale on the south end, and then they can have access into there. And they wouldn't have to disturb the other subdivisions, that's what I'm saying.
You can't stop it from happening.
Well, I think
They can.
if we had an access point off of Lindale, you would restrict construction traffic going through that subdivision. So I think it's a different point of are we increasing safety by requiring the Lindale Road access point? I kind of agree with Joel here on that overall, but your point is valid though, Kurt, that you could restrict the construction traffic if we have that access point.
We have,
Being so steep there, you create a hazard getting on and off.
Yeah.
With kind of a blind road that was still about
And Lindale Road is extremely narrow.
Yes.
and fast.
One of the other,
We should think about acquiring all the land so they can develop it as it is plotted, then we wouldn't have this discussion. Because there would be an entrance off of Linsdale.
there has been times where we've restricted truck traffic for subdivisions. So you're right in that regard, but we also have a slope requirement for roads, and I don't think there's any way you're ever gonna get a road down there with that, what is it, 12.5% slope?
yeah, the last time this came
10%.
up was when we were looking at one of the iterations of the Alpine Hills subdivision, where they were gonna have a connection through the isolated natural resource area to one of the roads in Brighton Estates. And they ended up just bringing Lake through, not the other one, but it would have been a waiver for a road that exceeded the allowable max percent slope. And so that could be something that would be a factor here as well.
There's a few stuff, Mrs. Engineer Mitch, she's gonna make some comments here if you.
I just want to point out a couple of things, just so you're aware of it, the board's aware of it. I'm sorry, the commission's aware of it. So as we talked about, there's areas throughout this whole entire site, actually, mostly the southern half, that there are steep slopes in there. There's a part of our ordinance talks about land suitability. Lands that having a slope of greater than 12% shall be maintained or preserved. And then, but you could get a waiver for a roadway area, if it does exceed that. That being said, the buildable lot itself, shall not have more than 50% of its minimum required area in slopes of 10% or greater. So I was looking through each of these lots. It's hard to tell or make those calculations, not having a scalable plan. But I believe some of these lots may be getting close to that, exceeding over 50% of that area being at a slope of 10% or greater. So those are things you're gonna have to look at as well. And then lastly, I think you guys may have all noticed this as well. There's no stormwater management included with this particular plan. So you're gonna need to provide an area somewhere that makes sense. There may be a couple different areas that may be with the topography of the land, there might be a couple different stormwater management facilities that'll be required to be within this area. So I just wanted to point those things out.
Thank you, Mitch.
No, I realize the stormwater ain't in there. You might lose a lot because of that, but this was only done for a design.
Understood.
Sure, this is a conceptual plan, that's where we're at now.
So, recommendation to the owner. There's a possibility for you to acquire some of that land to the east of you. So that Weber Drive can be completed and then have that access out onto Linsdale Road through, is that Janet Drive? What if you acquired that section of land from the current owner? And then you can complete that.
I've been talking to them. I've been working on this. I know what I need to do.
Okay, I'm just saying for recommendation, I would be in
I can't
favor,
make somebody sell me something.
I would be in favor of that for this subdivision. If you could get an exit out to the south
right,
Litchfield Drive.
right now. I know what you
Okay.
want.
So I guess, you know, what you hear from Kurt is that he would be a no vote absent that happening, so that's, I mean. So let's go on, Sean, do you have anything that you'd like to add?
No, it's, we're in a concept plan, so there's no, before we get to the planning and everything, this is a concept. We know that you gotta work on what the grading is, so. But I am seeing, the manufacturer on 12% grade of the road, I know what a hardship that is. And you do have two somewhat access points on the north side, so. More work is needed specifically on this, but I don't think adding an access road to the south is going to cause. At this time.
Right, sure,
My concern would be the only one entrance and exit out of the subdivision, and then the not having been out there to see what this triangular shaped wetland looks like, if it's actually wet more, most of the year, is it just that road comes pretty close to that, we've been having 100-year floods every couple of years, and would that road flood over?
No. it's
And then that will
impossible.
eliminate
That's
access.
the highest point, the wetland goes down,
So it would be flowing from the road down
Yes.
to the,
yeah, it goes way down.
well, so but to Sherry's point, there's a tree line that goes further to the east that looks like that might be, the low point on that, and that might drain into the wetlands, right? So I mean,
It,
depending on the water flow,
well, it all kind of goes down in it, and then it comes into the back of my land,
alright,
and I know the land real well.
and my only concern was that it seems like a very narrow spot, if, being close to the wetlands and the trees. And that being the only way for those residents to get out of the subdivision. That would be a
Yep.
concern to me.
It won't flood there. It definitely won't.
Well, they said my basement wouldn't get water in this week when they put the quarter mile retention pond in. And water twice.
The wind's not gonna blow either.
anything else you wanted to add, Joe?
No. I think this is a point of departure and start from there.
I don't know, I'd like to see two entrances or exits to the subdivision, however you wanna look at it, but I don't know how you do it on the south side. And the county might not even let you have an access right there anyway, even if it was.
They
flat.
probably want.
So I don't know how you can get around that in this particular case. And I do understand that the land to the east, the guy doesn't wanna sell, he doesn't wanna sell, but it would be nice to have Janet Drive hook up to it, but unfortunately it's not. The only other place would be is, having an entrance out of your driveway.
I was thinking about that.
I know.
Next driveway.
I heard that guy's already to deal with.
No, that was it. That was all I had to say.
I mean, in all joking aside, and that access point for the driveway isn't. For a subdivision drive isn't necessarily ideal either.
No, I know, I was just messing with them a little bit.
I got it. Rob?
Yeah. Kinda agree with everybody else's stuff. I don't really like the idea of just cutting one there. In winter, that's gonna be a bear if it gets icy, and the DPW usually prioritizes the hill, but. When something happens, so we're just adding a bigger subdivision that slides right down into a blind. Or something almost. And looking at this thing here, or the topology, it dropped almost 50 feet. Like it flattens out. And it goes from 985 down to about 940.
Yeah, we'll be counting, it'll give you a permit.
I don't think you're gonna get some out there anyway.
Not for that.
I mean, it'd be nice to have two, but I also realize that you can't force somebody to buy something either. Or sell something, that matters either or.
That's what's wrong.
So if I see a plan, I could go with, I was doing two at the moment, as long as we got connection points for future. I mean, when I was on the fire department, it wasn't the end of the world if it was a cul-de-sac. Yeah, it's nice to have, but it really didn't slow us down.
Don't go there.
All right, I agree with what was said. I did want an access point off of Lindo on this or the property to the east, and you would not say which one you thought was better, but Mitch, I mean, you've looked at this, you're a little bit closer. Are you comfortable, I'm not in the spot, but are you comfortable agreeing that the property to the east would be more ideal, better suited? If not, at this point, we can wait. I mean,
Looking at the topography over there, there's some steep slopes over there as well, so it's just a horse apiece to me.
I drove it yesterday and I kind of thought the same thing, but I know others have said otherwise, so if we don't think it's ever gonna, well, again, we could go through to the east then and to.
No, the other parts, you get kind of like the Glendale Farms where it goes up and then it's kind of. Takes the hill like that. Not just a straight up and down shot, you'll lose more lots doing that, but. That'd be one way around the hill.
Is that what it means? I mean, right,
Yeah, cause how they had it in the other.
still your blind spot, I mean, but it would reduce the slope if you go at the angle, maybe that can make sense, so. I think maybe that would be, so I think you're gonna have to look at those southern, 4 lots. Mitch's point about talking about the slope, if some of those have to be combined. And then maybe if there's a road reservation for an angled road, if we're concerned about the slope, but again, we're talking about visual sight distances is more so, I think.
Yeah, work that out with the county then too.
The staff, you guys have communicated with Mr. Weber, but do you have anything else that you wanted to add that the plan commission should hear at this point?
I would just add that another option we haven't discussed is phases for the subdivision. I mean, there could be an initial phase for the northern end. It doesn't sound like there's much concern with the northern end of this. It's how far down is the village comfortable with allowing development without a secondary ingress or egress point? And so phasing the subdivision is an option. I'll also just add that I did mention to Mr. Weber that the village is exploring the possibility of sewer in this area, but that's a long-range plan, and that I just wanted him to know that it was being discussed. Obviously, his interests are to develop something in the near term.
And
And
I
that-
kind of go counterpoint to what you just said.
Only
because
the very northern end
portion, right?
was clipped by what could be fed by gravity sewer, so. I raised that point just because it's topical, but
And to add to that topical, because these are 1.5 acre lots, it would not make sense because we are looking at a different density footprint for that.
They're 1 acre lots more or less, but they're 1.6 acre
Right, I'm
density,
saying,
right?
so right now, it's kind of working cross purposes because the lot density does not work with the, with that.
You'd have to do the north in first, and the problem with it is it's gonna be stormwater coming down that hill. If you did the north half, you're gonna have to size. You're gonna put in stormwater for the whole darn thing anyway, and I don't know if you're gonna yield enough on day one to make sense.
11 lots and relatively minimal amount of roads on the to the north of the wetlands. I mean, the math, but that's for you to figure out there. I mean, if we do it in 2 phases, that could make some sense. Mitch, you were nodding. Anything else you
No,
want to add?
Yeah, I mean, I agree, there's, with where the low point is in the parcel, the full parcel, around the wetland area, there probably would be some type of a stormwater facility draining into that wetland area. You could probably take another 3 to 4 parcels south of the wetland and develop that as well, because then there's a crest that runs across at that point, so. Again, I think there's gonna need to be if you did the full development, there'd be 2 areas that you'd need stormwater facilities. One to the very south and one somewhere near the wetland area.
Again, we're not doing a poll on where we are exactly, but Kurt, I think with you expressed the biggest concern about that. If you did it in phases, I assume, or maybe I won't. Would that ease some of your concerns there?
I'm concerned about a single access into the subdivision, whether you do it in sections or not sections, phase 1, phase 2. I'd like to see two entrances in, and I'd like to see an entrance into the subdivision off of Main Street instead of through the subdivision.
Do you have any other questions for the plan commission tonight?
You know, I don't even know if the DOT would allow another entrance on Lundale. That should be, somebody should talk to them and see what they think.
Jason Mayer at Waukesha County would be the one to talk to.
I mean, that's the key to it.
Yeah, you could, that's what I would talk.
Yeah, I mean, you go explore that and pass that information on to the staff and.
But I'm pretty sure they're not gonna do it. That would be on the other piece.
He's really easy to talk to. Just call him up, he'll meet you out there and he'll let you know.
Unfortunately, you have to park in your driveway because there's no shoulder on that. The shoulder went away last.
Anything else you have for us? Any
Where am I
questions?
standing?
Do you want to address it? So this is just for you to present the conceptual plan, us provide initial, some initial general high level feedback. We're not getting into very specifics, but I think we've got a lot of feedback. It's for you to kind of come back and address those concerns and work with staff. Does staff have any other questions that of the commission at this point, or do you feel comfortable enough working with the property owner?
I think we're fine. There's mixed reviews on whether or not Lindale, is gonna happen or not, but I don't think it's feasible. You can check with Waukesha County. But just keep in mind there will be a rezone, so he's not granted this right. He has to go through a rezone request and public hearing before he can develop. So just know there's other steps in this process, but this is just the very, very first step. So
the next step would be a rezoning.
yeah, you'd have to rezone and that would give you the right to be able to develop. But in that rezone, the plan commission is gonna want to see a much more detailed version of what you have here to address stormwater, to address the road, go through, everything that we've talked about tonight.
But I'm basically saying, if we do it the way it is it gonna pass? With all the stuff taken care of?
So we're not able to tell you that tonight. That's not the point of a concept review. The concept is to get the reaction, and you heard the plan commission's reaction. Some positive, some negative. And as to the negative, you heard what the concerns are, and that's really all we can do tonight, is review your concept and provide that feedback. If you have specific questions, we could, you could tell us what those are and maybe we can answer them, but other than that really is, all we do tonight is you floated your idea and you got a reaction, and that's all we do.
I mean, if I can't acquire some more land, I can't get the access points. That's where it ends.
I think you need to talk to Waukesha County before you spend any more money.
That's what I would do too. That should be your first step.
Because the next step's gonna cost a chunk of change.
Well, I know, that's what I'm saying.
I don't, go talk to the county, I would suggest that you do that.
All right, okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
All right, we will move on.
Matt? Mike Murphy is on now from National Trench, so if we want to go back to that item.
Go back to 5.
Do you want us to keep on going and go to the end, or
He's on.
Everyone.
what's the commission's desire here? Do we, I mean, we have Blaze here who's been waiting for the last hour. I think we just keep on going. I gotta respect the people that have been here. Unless the commission wants to. Okay. Item G is a review of the once every 2-year compliance report for Blaze Landscaping as required by their existing CUP. Oren, you've got some detailed information in here. Why don't you start?
Sure. I'll give some context. So on November 29th, 2023, 23, the Village Plan Commission approved the conditional use permit for Blaze for a contractor's yard. Town Line Road parcel 0244.999.001. Conditional use permit was recorded on May 15th, 2024 as document number 4766407 in Waukesha County. Condition 3 of that permit states that the contractor's yard conditional use permit shall be reviewed every 2 years by the Village Plan Commission to determine compliance with the conditions and requirements of the permit and may be terminated in accordance with Chapter 11, Section 4G of the Village of Lisbon Code of Ordinances. Petitioner shall request this biannual review by submitting a written compliance report at least 60 days prior to, but not more than 90 days prior to the 2-year anniversary of the issuance of the conditional use permit. And every 2 years thereafter, and the petitioner's failure to do so may be grounds for termination of the conditional use permit. Spoiler alert, the petitioner did submit the compliance report within the time frame, so that's why we're here. The 2-year period, if my memory serves me correctly, we chose that because of it corresponding with the county's review and renewal of their stormwater. I think that happens on a 2-year cycle, so I think that's how we landed on 2 years. But either way, the commission at the time was of a mind to require this to come back after a certain amount of time to see how things were going. And so that's where we're at. So the 2-year anniversary of the issuance of the conditional use permit is May 15th. The village received a compliance report on February 20th, which is at least 60 days, but not more than 90 days prior to the 2-year anniversary. So again, the petitioner submitted a compliance report. They included with that some background documentation, including Exhibit B, the current site plan. There's also their Exhibit A, which is a list of equipment. One of the conditions was they keep an up-to-date list on file with the clerk's office. They've provided their responses to why they think they're in full compliance. In my staff review, I outline that the village has received a number of complaints so far this year regarding the burning that takes place. So this is germane to the conversation around the conditional use because condition 14A of the CUP states that no use is hereby authorized unless the use is conducted in a lawful, orderly, and peaceful manner. Nothing in this permit shall be deemed to authorize any public nuisance. So the numerous complaints that were received are included in your packets as Exhibit C. And the Plan Commission should evaluate whether the burning activities associated with the contractor's yard operations are consistent with the intent and limitations of the site's original approval. The current site plan that was submitted as Exhibit B, it's the last page of their compliance report, has some differences between what was originally approved and how the site is being operated today. Both requested that Blaze Landscape Contracting Inc. provide a summary of these changes, which they have. That's something that I can bring up on the screen if it would be beneficial. The condition 2 of the site plan and plan of operation states that the site plan of operation approval is subject to the petitioner complying at all times with the plan's documents, that were presented to the Plan Commission when it was approved. So FOLF is recommending that Blaze Landscape Contracting Inc. apply for a site plan of operation amendment by the May submittal cutoff date for the June Plan Commission meeting. Otherwise, if they don't apply to amend their site plan of operation to get the blessing of the things that have changed and to address some of the things with the burning, then we'd have to look at those as zoning enforcement matters. So we're recommending the Plan Commission make no finding at this time regarding the compliance of the conditional use permit, and that essentially this be tabled pending a site plan of operation amendment application to address the burning hours, burning procedures, the source of materials for the burning, and frequency of burning on site. In addition to the changes in the site plan between the originally approved site plan and the current site plan. So that's what I've got in my staff review. The petitioner is here. If there's specific questions.
You want to go around? Okay, so I think just so we can lay the land, there's at least three of us that are new to you, myself, Rob and Kurt. The other four you were all here at the last time? John, you're
I
top.
think that was my first.
Okay, that was your first meeting? Okay, all right, so you've got some familiar faces and some new faces, but I think we're all up to speed. So Oren did a nice job of presenting that. Do you have anything you'd like to add at this point, or you understand what staff is recommending and asking for?
Sure. The new site plan, I don't think anybody could disagree that things change based on the usage of a site. Like I expanded where we store boulders. I don't know that that needs to go to something else. I gave a good explanation of why things changed on the site. I don't think any of it was impacting two neighbors. I think the whole issue that I see is the burning. I mean, I don't think there's been complaints about mud or noise. I think it's more been the burn. And if anyone disagrees, I'd like to hear that, but my only.
Blaze, can you angle the mic so that people on Zoom can hear, please?
My only thing that I can say about the burn is when it was issued or allowed or discussed in the initial meeting, they gave me a permit that said you can burn 7 days in each month. That was discussed and I agreed to it fully. The way my business operation is, since I've owned the property and we only burn in December, January, February. We never burn in the summer, in when anyone would consider having their windows open. And what we have come to know from the years we've been there, I only burned 14 days in those 3-month window. And I don't know that anybody's come to the site, but I have a unique setup. It's 30 feet deep, completely surrounded. It's an old gravel pit. How does it benefit my business? Is because we get rid of a large volume of brush and trees. We don't burn anything except the wood. And what we create is ash that we take back out and use. It's not a toxic, we're not generating any toxic or environmentally hazardous material from the burn. I also was asked, because Pewaukee's ordinance, we're under Pewaukee now, and I think the first year we were under Lisbon.
Are you talking about the fire department?
Correct.
Okay.
So their requirement is no burning when it's more than 10 miles an hour. Dan had asked, could we go to 9? I also took upon myself when it got windy during the day, because wind can change. Any day I was burning, I immediately stopped. And the policy with Pewaukee now is you call at 7 in the morning, 7:30, tell them you're gonna burn, acknowledge that with a text or a phone call back, and then you call when you're putting the fire out. They have that noted so that if there's flame up, if there's somebody calls, they can say, yeah, here we have record of that. And I faithfully did that each day this past winter. It wasn't the policy with people before. You just had to let them know the days you wanted to. So again, I think that's the biggest argument I see from neighbors, anything about my use of the site. But I think it's kind of unfair since I'm willing to go to such a minimal amount of time, 14 days instead of 84 that was originally allowed. But again, I don't see it as, you know, crazy.
So going forward, you're only looking for 14 days
That's
though?
all I need. That's all I need. And again, I would pick those days in those 3 months. Make sure we're not in wind. And again, it's tough. We do not have the time to do that in summer. It's just not, it doesn't work that way. So that's why we choose to do it when we're slower, than to do it in the winter. But I could be limited to the 14 days, very comfortable with that. That's about what we've proven the last 3 years, what we generate.
You have some questions?
Yeah, so I'm not familiar with your operation, so, if you were not able to burn, what would you do with the trees and stuff that you burned today?
Well, we do a lot of land clear, but we don't bring that material back to the site.
I'm just saying, if you weren't allowed
We
to
have-
burn, what would you do with it
We have,
instead of burning?
we have a large chipper, super large, like not what you picture guys driving down the road with.
So could you do that if you weren't allowed to burn? Could you chip?
I could, the problem,
Blaze, can you talk into the mic?
oh, sure, sorry. The problem with that is that we generate a product that has to be dealt with in a different manner. It's a wood product. That's why when we do land clearing, we leave it on site. We do not, part of our number is you get the chip. Yeah,
So an alternative,
oil,
a recommendation is that they don't burn and that they have an alternate way of getting rid of that stuff they were burning in the future.
But would they start getting noise complaints from the chipper running?
and how
Get
about,
rid of the wood chips.
Yeah, then they'd have to.
You just kind of-
how about we have an agreement with using your dump site? Or a taxpayer.
Potentially a possibility too.
We don't allow any businesses to use the compost site as it is now, so I mean, that would either be, I mean, we're not gonna make an exception for one business, it would, I mean, so just before we offer that up, Kurt.
No, I'm saying, but that's an alternative.
So in the complaints that I've read that were attached, I don't think it's a concern. I know about if it's over a certain miles per hour of the wind, the smoke travels, but the issue is when there is no wind either, the smoke was just hanging around in the subdivisions and people, couldn't breathe. We all lived through last summer when the Canadian smoke came into our area. And some days it was healthy to be outside and some days it was unhealthy to be outside because of where that smoke was lying in the atmosphere. So I can understand the residential people that are near this site if they're getting the smoke around their houses, and there's schools that are nearby there too. And when you're talking about January, February, March, or whatever that you're burning, that's when schools are in session. Those kids are outside for recess. So it's bad for health to have smoke in the air. If you can do something to eliminate the smoke. And we couldn't eliminate it. We didn't have any way of eliminating the Canadian smoke. It was there. We had to live with it. But here's a situation where we can make a decision that will prevent that smoke from affecting families and children that are in the nearby areas. So I would advise that we look at some other way of eliminating that waste without burning it in the area next to these residential homes. Thank you.
All right, so those that were here the last time around, I guess my question of you and we, I mean, was the burning intended to be for materials that were brought onto the site, or was it for materials that were pre-existing on this site? I've heard conflicting information along those lines.
It was my understanding it was just gonna be the trees that you cleared on the site. That was my understanding. Maybe I misunderstood, but that's what I thought.
I think I said that would make no sense at all, because eventually I'm taking down all the trees. Eventually. For the
Well-
development, so
And so I think you could take, so under that, you would be able to, if you take down all the trees, you could burn all those trees on site.
yeah.
I mean, the problem is that we have
That's
three
one
plan
thing.
commission members here who are new, an attorney that's new, an administrator that's new, so half of us are new to this table.
And see, I guess I thought that this would eventually end. Because once you were done with the trees and you were gonna develop it and so on and so forth, then it was gonna end. So is there an end in sight? Is there some kind of an end game to this, or is this gonna be as long as your business is
Well,
business?
when we eventually have that get filled in and we're to the thing, of course. it would.
I think last time you gave like a scenario of about a 10-year time span.
Correct, that's what I said approximately I would think it would take, and
You to fill in the pit?
yes.
How much progress are you making there? On filling in
As
the
much
pit?
as much as I want to, which is, I'm not anxious to fill it in.
So then you're not gonna make it in 8 years from now, then are you?
Oh, probably. Probably. I didn't care. Trio could probably get that, but what we've done in the, again, when it's summertime, we have sites available everywhere. It's in winter when there aren't sites to take fill to. So that's when I tend to use my site, but I projected about 10 years. It's 300,000 yards that it's gonna take to fill it in.
So before you had this site and you had this conditional use, what did you do with your brush then?
You were allowed to burn in the falls.
Okay.
And now you're not?
No,
I remember that discussion.
Okay.
where my farms,
What changed there?
they don't allow it. They just do not.
For you or for?
Anybody. Now, that's what I was gonna ask. There are so many people in the neighborhood that burn leaves, burn sticks. People love campfires, so to use the smoke for that short period of time and in the winter. And I think it's such a insignificant amount.
But for being insignificant, there's a lot of complaints that are pretty strong. So you think they just
I think
are
it's
sensitive or?
more of the same people.
500 signatures on the petition, more than one person.
I mean, again, I will say of those 500 signatures, a lot are from people that are very far away.
Yeah,
That's 390.
there were six people,
That is much.
6 people that responded.
But I mean, no, but
I get it.
but there are a lot of people across the street there in the falls that are expressing these concerns, and I mean, so I don't want, whatever the number is.
Yeah.
It's not 500, it's not 390, but if it's 50, that's still a lot.
And I get your position, it's that you have to address complaints.
And we have gotten more complaints on this than we have on pretty much, I mean, well, any other conditional use permit that I've seen in the last year. And we got a lot of these complaints this year. I received complaints on this last year as well. So, and those weren't in the packet, but I think a lot of those were from the same individual, so.
In reducing it down to 14 or asking for 14 instead of the potential, what did you say, 84? So you reduce it down to 14, you still had 300 plus complaints, so if we let you reduce it down to 14, that's not.
Yeah.
Is that what did you say?
People signed a petition.
Oh, people signed a petition, I'm sorry, my mistake. But
Still a lot of.
But, yeah, this one individual had some comments and kind of documented, they got a couple of conditions. In those sections, that. Okay, so there's for lack of a better term, there's a little bit of a differential between what you're saying in wind conditions and what they were documenting on those dates, so.
What's the alternative? What do you think? Burning isn't seeming to work out. I mean, other than chipping it, and you said you can't chip it.
Well, the chipping is a noise issue because Ken, who has been at the last, that's the neighbor that lives by.
Well, his land abuts yours.
Abuts mine, but next to Casey's. He's the only residential that abuts. So he sent my daughter an email and said, hey, you guys aren't allowed to be crushing heat, because that was a big stipulation about recycling concrete at that site. And I said, that's my chipper. That makes that noise. And then no one else, I don't think, responded, about that noise. But again, it's just, it's not very economical, and it's another process of handling that. And the bad thing is what we generate. So then maybe that's the alternative for your site, where we can bring chip. I don't know what you use.
But
But
the
it's not even
time
open.
to ship that. Scrap wood or trees or whatever would be a lot less time
Oh,
than it is to burn
way more.
I disagree. Burning something is gonna be a long time to burn it versus chipping it.
Has staff received any complaints on the noise issues that, I mean?
About a chipper?
Yeah. Again, I know they're not using it to the extent that they would if they were not burning, but we haven't received any complaints.
No, because we've only used it once.
Okay.
No,
You
not
just got
explained it.
one neighbor, okay.
I just wanted to chime in that grinding wood material was part of the hours of operation. I think we had hours for that and hours for the burning.
Yeah.
So we had 7 AM to 7 PM Monday through Friday for the burning, and then for the grinding wood material, we had 7 AM to 7 PM Monday through Friday, once per month, with 48-hour written notice given to the town, which is now the village.
So
So
once per month, wait, it has to be within that 7 to 7 and they only can grind once per month?
with 48-hour written notice given to the, yep,
Because
to the municipality.
Very, very concerned with noise at those meetings. And I think that's probably why they agreed to that.
Sure. Okay, so for the four of you that were here, I mean, I think anything else that you wanted to add or highlight for the benefit of everyone else?
I mean, the permit was issued. My recollection, and we've got the recording, but permit was issued that for 2 years. And we'd revisit what was happening, and if there were complaints, we modify the permit. Pretty simple to me. I mean, we're not gonna do it tonight, but we've got some other things we're gonna deal with next month or June. But it's like any other conditional use permit. If there's problems with it, that's why they call it a conditional use permit. If there's problems, you modify the permit going forward. That's what we're going through these site visits for other quarries. It's the same darn thing. You got a problem? Okay, we change it.
Yeah, I think that was your point, is what's an alternative.
So I think you started off with, there's a handful of other changes here. I don't think you've heard any issues with those, so if you present a new, site plan that addresses those, and then the conditional use permit, addresses those, I think that you've received enough feedback here that the burning, I don't know if I see that being approved, but it's up to you how you proceed and then how the plan commission reacts at the June meeting.
Well, actually, May 20th, there's some action steps that are demanded by a number of the petitioners. They have no standing in the village of Lisbon, so they can.
I think based on the time, and I mean, we're again, Joe, I mean, that's correct, so, but we are still respectful of everyone, but I think the 60-day time frame. Or the 2 month, I mean, the earliest we can see this back is that June 24th meeting.
I've communicated with the neighbors and let them know that is the timing that we're looking at, so they know that the June meeting is gonna
And
be.
based on what he said, he's not burning now anyway, so. there's
Right,
not
and
gonna
I
be
did let
any
them know that
need
as
to
well.
burn.
And I let
Right,
them know that
stop.
as well, yeah.
Is that correct? You're not gonna burn going forward?
No, we don't. Yeah, no.
Okay.
There's no burning that happens in about 9 months.
So the staff recommendation was to. Was it effectively to table this until the June 24th plan commission meeting at 6:30?
I would also recommend maybe that we would put a point on for the main meeting at least, so it wouldn't be so massive, because it sounds like,
Sean, I've spoken with the head of the group in opposition, and I told them the date of
Okay.
in June, so I don't think we need to put it on in May.
okay,
We would not be able to put something on an agenda without an application. I don't have an application for a site plan amendment.
Just, I know how, in this situation, people say yes, June, and all of a sudden, surprise, you're supposed to do that, so just as long as you're covering it, and that's all that we have to do, so no problem.
Yeah, and I think we'd like to see it in May, but I don't think that with the time frame that we would need to get the material, like the documents in. Would allow us to see it, and that's the reason why we have it.
Correct.
Penciled out for June.
Yeah, they would have had to have had an application in
By today.
by today.
At noon.
So that's unreasonable to expect that from someone, so that's why we arrived at the June date. Wanted to give time, they do have their site plan in order, but you know, they still have to actually go through the process of applying and then taking into consideration the feedback that they received tonight.
So are we ready for a motion here?
If we are tabling this to the June meeting, the meeting date would be Wednesday, June 24th.
We'll still have a quorum here, otherwise.
Are you gonna make that?
Yeah, Joy, you're gonna.
So are you? Yes, I'm gonna make a motion to table this until the June plan commission meeting for the same subject item, which is a review of the compliance report. June 24th,
I'll second.
for Boys Lives.
And review of a site plan and.
I'll find out the motion in the second. Add that,
Yes.
Yes.
okay. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. All right, motion carries. All right, thank you. We want to keep on going, or are we fine jumping back up to B?
These will take all of 3 minutes for both of them.
All right, so, item H is renewal of annual, mobile home permit license for American.
I'll make a motion to approve.
All right, Everly and Baum,
Yeah.
Any discussion?
Done.
Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries 7-0. Assignment of the annual quarry inspection.
if you.
Same as that here.
Last year, I can tell you who had which quarries. Land and Stone Products and Stark Pavement were trustee Baum. Genesee Aggregates, 3 sites were Commissioner Everly. Lafarge Wholesome, and they have a new name and I can't remember what it is. I think it's Amrise or something. That was Commissioner McCormick. Payne and Dolan was Commissioner Howard, and Hellquist was Commissioner Alhafen. I don't know if one of you wants to team up with Kurt. Kurt, if you want to do something solo, however you guys want to divide it up, let me know who wants what.
I'm good with the ones I have.
You're
You're the
good.
same.
So who had the most, if we wanted to,
Kurt, you want to team up with Rob to do Land and Stone Products and Stark Pavement?
Yeah, I can.
Or do you wanna
I'm good with them, I know that.
run past, which one do you,
Well, they're all together.
no, I guess they
Yeah.
are.
I just hop in the truck with Nick and we go. Got like, oh gee.
All right, well. I didn't catch that whole list. Is there anyone else who had more than one?
Well, those are all at
Right,
one
right.
site,
Is there anyone
that's why.
else that had?
Genesee Ag has 3 sites, but 2 of the 3 sites are dormant. Everything else is one site.
I guess,
If Rob wants to do it, I'm fine with it, otherwise I'm going to,
I just didn't want you to be left out.
at some point in time, I'd like to experience it. That's me. Not that thrilling, but it's more power.
Joe, let me know when you're gonna go to Genesee Ag. I'm gonna go with you on this one. if That's all right.
All right, so everybody wants the same they had last year?
Yes.
yeah, and if
Wonderful.
anyone,
I'll email you all the info.
all right, if I could.
Thank you, everyone.
Now we will move back to the last item, which is Mike Murphy. And is Mike, are you still there?
Yep, Mike's on Zoom.
Yes, I am. Sorry for that delay, but I'm glad you were able to jump on. So again, this is discussion necessary action regarding the site plan and plan of operations for this property. We read this in the record earlier. So Orin, you want to start?
Yes, so this again is the Polyak trucking property, as was mentioned previously. The petitioner is a new to market business, National Trench Safety. They are looking to lease not just the building again, but the whole property. And so Polyak would be relocating their operations and this entity would be taking over the entire site, which is about 4.16 acres. They are going to operate a construction trench safety equipment sales, service, and rental business. When we asked, what the nature of the business was, they said that it is comparable to Vermeer's operations across Richard Road. As far as they sell, lease, and repair equipment, they're just in a different line of work as far as the type of equipment that they're providing. So as far as how the site would function, they're looking to have maybe 6 full-time employees, general business hours, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. Staff will be on site 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. The property is M2, which allows this type of use. As far as the plan of operation, they're going to have outdoor storage located on the rear of the site, which would be the west end. I'm going to bring up the site plan that was provided by the petitioner. Bear with me a second while I share my screen. Go and get that oriented so that it matches conditions on the ground. There we go. Okay, so I got the site plan up now. So again, the building is located on the east end of the parcel towards Richard Road. Site has sufficient parking. The outdoor storage would be limited to new and used trench box rental equipment within the asphalt surface outdoor storage area behind the building. Delivery trucks may also be parked there. They're proposing a 6-foot tall gate on both sides of the shop to restrict access to and from the rear yard area. And on the plan that the petitioner got to me on Tuesday, you could see the location of the gate / fence on the north side of the building, and then a location for a gate and fence on the south side of the building. And then there's some camera locations as well. So they're planning to have 24-hour monitoring of the site. They're not proposing any additional lighting or landscaping as part of this. Again, the conditions are that there's sufficient amount of each. It was Previously, the rear of the site was used for truck parking, as can be seen in the aerial, which I'm bringing up now. So the trailers were parked around the edge of the site with the tractors in the center. As far as the odor, smoke, and noise, during normal business hours, there will be some noise from delivery truck traffic and forklift activity on the site. No chemicals or hazardous materials, but there'll be some solvents stored in secure chemical locker in the shop area. Delivery trucks are refueled at local stations, and a delivery service will refuel the forklift. The original site plan, which was included in the packet materials from Polyac's original approval, did include a future fuel storage area and a fuel island, if you will. Neither of those were ever installed. So again, there's not going to be any gas on site other than, what they might need for small equipment, 10 gallons plus or minus, in a designated fuel locker in the shop area.
Do I see a waste oil tank? Mhm.
It wasn't the original one.
No, let's say it was.
Yeah, when they were working on diesel trucks, that would make sense.
I don't know if that counts as hazardous. I don't know how big that is. Just the circle and the waste oil.
Probably also, I'm guessing, Mike, I'll have you chime in, but I'm guessing you're not going to be generating a lot of waste oil with your product.
No, we're not. You're correct.
Okay. Site surface drains to an existing ditch in the right of way of Richard Road. This property is served by the regional stormwater pond, which is further to the east. So nothing's changing with the amount of impervious. There's nothing being added, so there's no concerns there. So as far as the main condition that I have, it was that the petitioner submit a revised site plan that shows the location of the security fencing, access gates, and security cameras. Again, the petitioner submitted that yesterday, and that's what I had up on the screen. So that's actually already been addressed. And our other conditions are our normal boilerplate conditions. They'll have to come back for, through the building inspector for a permit for a sign, should they choose to do a sign on site in the future. We've got that boilerplate condition in there as number 4. And as far as their hours, they are stating operating hours that would be 24/7, 365. And looks like I have a typo in this staff review. The business hours are 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., not 4 p.m., with staff on site 6 to 6, which I
How many days a week was that?
Correction.
Monday through Friday.
Monday
It
through
should
Friday.
be- I would suggest that Mr. Murphy consider changing that to 7. Contractors work 7 days a week sometimes, and they may need a shield on a Saturday night. Been there, done that. It's an industrial park, so I don't think it's gonna bother anybody.
Well, their operating hours 24/7, 365.
So,
You're gonna be there.
Commissioner Everly, are you admitting that you've been in the trenches?
I'm on my way out, Reverend Planner.
So the business hours are hours that they're open for interaction with the public, and
Correct.
operating hours are hours they
Deliveries.
can be on site.
Correct.
So the operating hours, I think we're covered with the 24/7, 365, and we'll make that correction on the recommendation from the 7 to 5. You don't plan on being open for business hours outside of that time frame?
That is correct.
I have a
Hard enough to
question.
find employees to work regular hours, much less overtime.
Sure. Go ahead.
Mr. Murphy, by reading the submitted materials, I see that natural trench safety is also in the traffic control business. Are you gonna be running any of those operations out of this facility?
Good question. No, we're not. That is actually a company we acquired out on the West Coast. And those traffic divisions are strictly in California, Utah, and Nevada.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. And
Yep,
then
thank
you're
you for
gonna
asking.
are you gonna have I think you had mentioned, or maybe it's in here and I missed it. How you gonna load and unload these things? You're gonna have a crane on site?
Actually, that will be done by the forklifts.
Okay, then
We have
that's
rather large
good.
forklifts that we use. We'll have
Okay.
one 30,000-pound forklift outside and a smaller electric or propane forklift for the shop equipment.
Okay, that's all I have.
All right, do you have anything else that you would like to add, Mike?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Anything else that you wanted to add or discuss or request from us?
You know, the one thing I did want to mention is we're excited to, this would be our first location in Wisconsin as we continue to grow. This particular location will serve about a 2-hour radius around Milwaukee and be kind of a not necessarily a satellite branch, but due to the growth in Wisconsin, it will be served also from the Chicago market. So you guys offer an excellent opportunity for us to gain access to the freeway system, meanwhile staying outside of the immediate city traffic, and all the growth that's in the Milwaukee area is out on the perimeters for the most part, and that's why we're excited to position ourselves in Lisbon.
Well, great, we're excited to have you, and just so that you're aware, this doesn't catch you off guard, we will be, there'll be some construction work going on in the property to the north of you with some, I'm not sure if you've been made aware of this or not, but you know, dirt removal and then construction of an approximately 60,000 square foot building in the, you know, next year or so. Next year,
Year
three. There's a
Thank you.
large amount of dirt that will be removed over the next 12 to 18 months.
I do appreciate the heads up. The nice thing is we're incredibly familiar with contractors, so and the work they do. So we're good to have that, and we'll certainly work to accommodate their needs.
All right, great. Anything else? Are we ready for a motion here?
Motion to approve.
Let me see here.
Joe, did you make a motion?
Yes, I did.
All right, and I'm sorry, who seconded the motion?
Sean.
John seconded the motion. Is there any additional discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries 7-0. Thank you very much for joining us tonight.
My pleasure.
Last item is planner report. Anything to note here, Orin?
Yeah, we've got one application that was submitted thus far for our next meeting next month, so it could be potentially a light agenda, should we not receive anything further. And we may have some discussion about the comp plan update as well at that meeting. And we are looking at a potential future meeting, joint meeting, to talk about the sewer extension.
Yeah, what was that, May 20th?
May 20th. So look for the village staff to be in contact regarding a potential joint meeting on May 20th to get into areas 3 and 4 for the sewer extension.
I haven't heard from Mark yet, so I'll confirm with the Public Works Committee and then I'll reach out to you guys once I know.
So if that does come together, that would potentially be here at 6 o'clock on the 20th. So similar to the last time that we had a meeting after the plan commission meeting, this would be after their meeting. So when, I think timing wise, it would probably be a little more comfortable for everyone. But it is a different night.
What did you were saying?
The 20th, it would be the Wednesday before the Plan Commission.
We have Public Works.
It'd be a joint, yeah.
Okay. What time is the Public Works meeting on that night?
Normally, those are 5 o'clock meetings.
So we'd have an hour, and those agendas are lesser than Plan Commission typically.
Mark's done a pretty good job of being able to keep it
Moving along, yeah.
close to an hour, or very, very close to an hour. All right. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Oh, yeah, that was it. Okay.
Rob, that was you?
Yeah. Second.
Right, so Rob made the motion, Kurt seconded, all those in favor say aye. Opposed say nay.
I got 8:22.
All right. Adjourn. Yeah. Well,
That's like.